Hey everyone, I'm Rob. It's Sunday today, so that means it's time to sit down and chat all things ChatGPT and catch up with the news in the week. Okay, so thanks for catching up with me. It's been 2 weeks. I've been a little bit sick, but I've also been on holidays, and cat's out of the bag. I'm going to do a video in which my friends and we use ChatGPT to plan out a day for us in Albania, and so that will be coming to you shortly, and it's super fun. And another exciting thing, I am teaming up with my friend Kasey, who is a brilliant consultant in all things change management related, and we're going to come out with a weekly video series for you starting this Wednesday. So I hope you check it out. I think it's super informative, whether you're in change management or not. If you're in business, it's going to be fabulous. I think it's really cool. I think it's cool. I think you'll think it's very cool and very informative. But anyways, let's chat about the news this week. Let's go. Okay, so let's dive in. One of the first articles that I read this week that caught my attention was that major companies like Unilever, Siemens, are using artificial intelligence to navigate supply chain, particularly with geopolitical tensions, Ukraine, Russia, etc., environmental concerns, and human rights issues. So this article by the Financial Times goes through that. And what's been happening is that, generative AI they're using because it allows more automation in managing contracts, identifying new suppliers, and detecting connections to problematic areas such as human rights issues in very large countries, one of the global manufacturing countries, that China. There was a recent survey that said that 96% of supply chain professionals intend to use AI, even though there is potential concerns about job cuts existing. I think this is really important, especially for like business people, consultants, etc., to understand that there's going to be a growing reliance on AI for supply chain, and especially managing complex supply chain issues. How is this going to impact the workforce, and what if it has inherent biases that we don't know about yet? So anyways, super interesting article. Of course, I will post it in the description of this video. The next article that I read that grabbed my attention, and I read it so you don't have to, is from The Economist. And essentially they're saying the rush for data is here. And I feel like if you followed this channel, we chatted about it. And like you and I chatted about it personally. No, but we did chat about it where like data is, I mean, they've been talking about this for years, that data is like the new gold, right? And here they really drive the point even further. Like they use an example in this article about Adobe and how they used, how they launched Firefly, and they used basically their extensive stock footage and stock photos to avoid the copyright disputes that are upcoming and pending. And since then, Adobe's share price has risen by 36%. And this is just, The Economist is saying like this is kind of like a canary in the coal mine, that like we're going for like a data land grab. And because of this article says that the increase of demand may lead to securing sources of data. Really, I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing here already is that the access to the cost of scraping data has increased, and there has been so many lawsuits now about copyright infringements with data. For example, Sarah Silverman suing OpenAI for scraping her book. From a regulation perspective, I think it's interesting to like sit back, have some popcorn, watch how this goes. Shout out to all the lawyers that are involved in this, because I feel like you are making bank. Please send cash tip over here if. Okay, I'm going to talk about the next. That sounds weird. I'm going to talk about the next article now. Okay. Anyways, in the same note of this, our good friends at Zoom, that got us through the pandemic, they're in a little bit of trouble, or at least for their brand. And according to TechCrunch, they're facing some scrutiny because they've changed some of its terms and conditions that indicates that it may allow the company to use customer data to train its AI models without an opt-out option, meaning that you can't not consent to this. So some say that the opt-out is only referring to telemetry data, so like kind of like the logs, very basic data that you can't, not confidential data, not like, what you're whispering about in a Zoom call, about your colleague Karen, etc. But people in general are kind of concerned about the privacy implications, because, some of this say, and the article points out that it may conflict with European privacy laws, such as, the GDPR, the e-privacy directive, etc. Now, Zoom has responded saying that they've updated their terms and conditions, and they've emphasized that, the customer content will not be used for AI training without consent. But the article says that some people are still left unsatisfied, and therefore are kind of questioning right now the Zoom brand. Interesting one to watch, and I think especially for those that use Zoom for their business, I would definitely go reread the fine print and perhaps talk to a Zoom enterprise spokesperson to just really understand the implications of this. And honestly, shout out, while I was teaching during the pandemic, Zoom was very cool. And then we switched to Microsoft Teams, which is also cool. But Zoom, I think, was one of the first that had the hands up feature. Anyways, to bring some brevity into like okay, there's a lot of intense stuff happening. Let's talk about wildlife, and let's look at an article from The Guardian that has cute pictures of bats and foxes and hedgehogs. Oh, look at this little hedgehog. That's so cute. Anyway, so what I read in The Guardian this week is that researchers have developed an AI-controlled camera and microphone to identify and monitor when wildlife is on the tracks. So they are using these systems and tools to help tackle tackle Britain's biodiversity problem. So they identified a bunch of different species, mapped their locations without human observers, and this is really nice in terms of transportation and construction because it can start to monitor and make sure that some of these animals are okay. How cute is this? Anyways, I will post the link for this article in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and read about this. I think this is super positive and super wonderful and heartwarming. And look at this hedgehog. Come on. Okay, so when that hotline bling, I will never reference a Drake song ever again on this so poorly like that. Oh my Lord. Anyway, so we did talk about deep fake music and that one song that I think it was a Drake song that was charting, and they pulled it down because it was just an AI use of Drake's voice without him or his record label's consent. Remember that? Well, the record industry is pairing up with Google to kind of look into this because, I mean, there is profit to be made at this. Come on. So according to The Guardian, Google and Universal Music are having in-talk negotiations to license artists' voices and melodies for AI-generated songs. So this might lead to, perhaps some tools that some fans could use. I mean, we're already seeing this on TikTok, so it's really nothing new. I think it's just record labels being like, we want a cut of this, and we will pay the artist like 7 cents for this. I shouldn't be so cynical, but whatever. Anyway, so the article claims that they're looking to make sure that copyright owners are paid, and also they're giving the chance for artists to opt in. And I wonder, how much we're going to see this in new record contracts coming up. That this is like a non-negotiable. Anyways, I think this is just really interesting because we talked about sort of the ethical boundaries and what that also too means for creativity. And I believe that the Grammys. The organization behind the Grammys are considering having an AI created category. So now, speaking about copyright, this is also too very interesting in that vein. This article talks about how there were 5 books falsely attributed to a author by the name of Jane Friedman, and they were removed from Amazon after she, the author, complained that these books released by her were likely AI generated and listed under her own name. So if you were thinking about writing a book and just maybe feeding a chatbot with all the books of a certain, actually I should do this with a Stephen King novel with an idea that I have. And the piracy begins. Kidding. Okay, now to switch over again to some good news, some exciting news, especially that in the health industry, because I think that there's going to be so much more exciting things that are coming in that field lately. So this article that, of course, I'll put in the link in the description says that they're using machine learning to accurately predict Parkinson's disease subtypes. It's 95% accuracy. This breakthrough and really accurate classification could lead to personalized treatments and targeted drug discovery for people that unfortunately suffer from Parkinson's disease. So this is really interesting, especially because there's a lot of challenges right now that it says that there's non-specific diagnoses of Parkinson's. So I really can imagine that for people in business, in healthcare, biotech, etc., this is new avenues of investment in personalized medicines and personalized innovative treatments, but also too that there is the need for AI-powered diagnostics and therapeutics. So Philips, maybe you will be on the up and up, and getting into this space. I don't know, but I think this is really neat. And that's my story. Now, let's of course end with the Reddit Roundup. Speaking of scientific papers, I had to laugh. I saw this post a few days ago, and somebody posted on Reddit via X the amount of research papers that say as a language model that go discreetly and subtly in some research papers. They're probably not, published in Nature, for example, but I did have to laugh about that. Moving right along, some of the interesting educational stuff that I love ChatGPT for is also published on Reddit. Okay, I'll stop geeking out. Okay, so somebody used ChatGPT to explain the relationship between every single possible country type, and they've wrapped that with an interactive map. So how cool is that? I mean, if you want to know about intergeopolitical relationships, you can use this tool. How cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Moving right along, the White House announces a $20 million AI challenge. So it's, cybersecurity and whatnot. So we know that AI is going to lead to many different types of cyber crime, etc. And if you want to win $20 million, and of course, if you do win, shell cup, here I am asking for $1, my lord. I have a full-time job. Anyways, super interesting. The link will be in the description. And lastly, some people have been talking about how there was a specific study done to see what ChatGPT's political compass result is. And according to this research, it is left and libertarian. So it should go out and get a job, stop relying on mom and dad, pay your bills, no, just kidding. On a real note, I feel like this is why it's important that we use critical thinking when we look at ChatGPT results, because of course the data that it's trained on is going to have a political bias. There's always going to be a slight bias. So of course, use that critical thinking. Hooray, hooray. And you're good. And in my life this week and over the past couple weeks, I went to Albania, which was super amazing with my friend Kasey and my friend Jyoti. I made a video about using ChatGPT as like a travel guide advisor in Albania, and I'll share it hopefully soon. It's super interesting and fun. And also with my friend Kasey, as mentioned at the start of this video, on Wednesday, we're going to be releasing using ChatGPT for change management and specifically with enterprise resource planning. So getting a new ERP. So if you're more business minded, more change management or a consultant, check out the video on Wednesday. It's going to be great. And in the meantime, I've been living La Vida Loca. Yeah, went to the spa with a special friend. So that's my life. It's good. Life is good. Anyways, I hope that you're well. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a fabulous upcoming week. Okay, bye.